There is ready. Now we are going live. We are standby. So we are back live. So sorry about the slight delay. We are running slightly behind schedule, but I assure you that we will still have all the discussions and maybe eat away some of the time from the networking break later on. So now we have a very interesting panel discussion on the topic productivity and effectivity most often delays in the generic formulation projects. And for this, I have pleasure in introducing the panel members. So first of all, Yasser Gabat, Associate Director R&D Project Management, Teva Pharmaceuticals, and he's joining us from US. Yasser is experienced project management professional with a strong expertise in ENDA and NDA filings in solid and semi-solid dosages, liquids, and injectable cytotoxic drugs. He is leading multi-cross-functional teams and managing clinical CROs throughout different product development phases. He currently, like I mentioned earlier, works with Teva in US as Associate Director and R&D Project Management for R&D Project Management. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Daniela Braun, Senior Director Project Management at Celonic Group in Switzerland. Daniela is a CDMO professional. Let me start again. Celonic is a CDMO providing comprehensive GMP development and manufacturing services for new biological entities and biosimilars worldwide, and cell therapy and gene associated services worldwide. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Rachna Khanna, Head Product Portfolio, Dr. Reddy's Laboratories in India. And Rachna is pharma professional with over 16 years of experience in R&D portfolio, program, and project management. She is managing product portfolio for emerging markets, including Russia, China, Brazil, etc. at Dr. Reddy's Laboratories Limited. We will very soon also see our fourth panel member, Varada Bapat, and I will already introduce her to save time. She is Associate Vice President at Vocard in India, and she's experienced Head of Project Management with expertise in drug delivery, pharmaceutical, generic programming, validation, and pharmaceutical research. Vocard, as you would already know, is global biopharma organization out of India. For over 25 years, she's been and his work and she's responsible for, like I said, project management. So let's jump into the topics of today's discussion. And would you like me to ask the questions, or you would like to start yourself? Feel free to tell me whichever way you like and what you feel more comfortable. Maybe perhaps we start with some initial comments on the topic from each one of you, and then we jump to some questions, if you are okay.
Sure. So first, thank you very much, Samir, for the introduction, and I want to extend my appreciation to Y Summit for conducting such event to share our experiences and benefit from each other. It's thank you, everyone. So we are talking about the delay in formulation development and in generics, and to be fair and talking about delay, it's if we can categorize the delay based on the company size. Each company size in pharmaceutical has its own reasons for delays. As a general topic, there is general common things that could go among all pharmaceuticals, like per se formulation design, or variability in brand. This is a common challenge for all pharmaceutical will face to have delay in the formulation development. But it seems that if we go to small pharma, they may have some delay related to budget constraints, meaning that you want to maximize the return on investment, so you don't put all the investment upfront into the project. You just put a portion of money and try until you get to the point when you have the formulation working, and if you have a good formulation, then you purchase all your material, all the logistics that to move forward to the next stage. With that, there is a certain delay here. It tend to, healthy pharmaceutical or big pharma could put that investment upfront to move the project a little bit faster. So delay, I will say, it's not common among all pharmaceutical. We have to categorize based on the pharma size. The common delay, as I mentioned before, it could be the formulation challenge, the design challenge, process challenge, could be variability in brand, which we've seen many generic that it's been, many brand has no more patent and it's been on market for 10 years and yet no generic. And the challenge is just the variability in the brand or the formulation design. That delays the whole ANDA for or the whole generic for this product. But if we just go quickly, is I would say the most common delay in pharma among all, it's try to manage limited resources. Try to manage the limited budget among and resources among several projects, and that tend to be delays. Trying to work on several projects at the same time with a constraint of budget, you don't give the priority for one another, and then you go along with pieces until you have a confidence in one project, and then when you put your money in between the start of the project and to reach to this point, that's the delay, because once you have a confidence in a formulation, then you have to put all logistics, you have to order all material, you have to, and this is taking a long time, especially recently API has a long lead time coming from India or coming from other countries with COVID. So you can see 6 months, 9 months just to take the logistic until you receive all the material that you need to put into the formulation, into submission batches, and move forward with the ANDA. That time could be completely shrink if you put the money upfront. I don't want to take much time, but this is just an overview of the delay between pharma.
Yeah, no, very, very, very interesting thoughts. And so maybe from US, we come to Europe. So Daniela, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I would actually like to drill a little bit deeper on what Yasser just mentioned regarding the planning of the project in regards to budget. I would also like to stress the point of how to set out the strategy. So if you're a company or in your portfolio are a mixture of projects of let's say, new products as well as biosimilars, as is for us the case. And it might easily be the case that the strategy you set out to develop the biosimilar is tempted to be taken the same way like the new product, and you miss out that a lot of more time is required for analytics. Because setting up the strategy for analytical development of a biosimilar is a quite different story than setting up this analytical strategy for a new biologics. So that's one of the pitfalls which you would need to be aware right at the beginning of the project in order to put the strategy right and in order to put sufficient resources there.
Yeah. Well, I think I can't agree with you more. So, Rachna, your initial thoughts on this?
Thanks, Daniela. Thanks, Yasser. Very well captured. So I've been fortunate enough to wear both the hats of portfolio and project management, roles. So and also regulated and semi-regulated markets. So and I know that first of all, it is very important to understand what we define as delay. Because now I'm working as a portfolio person as well. So I can very well say that this reference itself is very ambiguous. Generally, when we start a project, portfolio person, business person has some other reference in their mind. They think once the project is approved, project has started. While the project manager thinks that, once the planning is done, once I have API in hand, once I have RLD in hand, once all the resources are in place, then the project starts. So there is a gray zone between where the project starts for business and where the project starts for project manager. So I think definition is very important. Very clearly it should be defined what exactly business is asking for, what are the timelines with reference to what we are actually discussing the delay. And I can't agree more. Delays are and the interesting thing is that it is the most discussed topic Once the project starts, we keep discussing about delays happening. We keep discussing about who is responsible for this delay. Maybe portfolio did not select much in advance. API did not give API in time. All those things. But I think the major reason for delay is that we start discussing it once it happens. That is the major reason for delay. Once it has happened, people start doing all the postmortems, people start doing all the analysis, that why it happened, what it happened. And second mistake which we do is we do it on a very superficial, in a very superficial manner. We kind of discuss it in terms of people, in terms of functions, in terms of API did not come in time, we could not purchase impurities in time, plant did not give us the capacity, there was slots committed, but it was given to some other product, some other market. So we discuss at this level, which because in the 16 years I have also done this journey myself. And from these reasons of delay, this kind of analysis of delay, uh, the current framework which I use, and it's been working for me for the last, I would say, 2-3 years, unless something else, something better comes up, is that we should go a little deeper. We should convert everything, all these delays, into a framework of, first we should ask questions like why, what, when. Because I think everybody, once the responsibility is assigned, everybody wants to do the project. It's not that they don't want to go ahead with the things. The reasons are something more deeper. All these reasons, I think, once we ask, how, why, when kind of questions, it can be framed into 2-3 categories, like process, capability, and capacity. So I think 3 years back, this kind of framework, I found it very useful. Only thing which I have added myself now is the communication. Communication, though I can add it as process, capability, whatever, but I think it's too frequent a reason for delay in most of the cases that we should capture it as a fourth point now, because it's not about capability or process being set. It is more about how effectively you say what you want to say, how clearly you give the message, whether the receiver, whether the stakeholder who is supposed to who is responsible for the activity, who is accountable for the activity, whether he has understood your plan, understood your timelines very well, whether you have you have done the escalation communication properly and well in advance. So I think communication in itself has become another lever, another reason for delay. And for me, so far, the one which I am using is process, capability, capacity, and communication. In these 4 things, we should be able to define reasons and find solutions, countermeasures.
I think very well said. And all 3 of you, I can't stop myself from saying this, that one of the things one of the trainers had told me in cross-cultural training, that you put an elephant in a dark room and put everyone inside the room, each one will have a different perspective. What is this animal? Is it real? I mean, somebody will say this and that and that. So I think this is what you are also alluding to, Rachna, that the meaning of delay is different to different people, because they look at it from different perspective. And that's why communication becomes very important as well, that we know in advance what is the real project timeline, what are the real project timelines, and how we'll achieve them. So any further comment on this topic? Otherwise, we can also discuss a little bit how we can avoid these, and partly we have covered this.
Just to add, regarding the communication, it's also one thing that it tend to happen a lot is the priority among teams when you work with.
I'll just stop you for a second, because Varda Bapat has just been able to join. Welcome, Varda. And there was some technical problem at your end. I have already introduced you to the audience. So we are discussing about what are the major reasons for project delays, and we have discussed few topics, including communication. So Yasser is saying something, and then I'll come back to you. Okay? Yes, Yasser.
Yeah, so just to comment on the communication and working with cross-functional teams, especially if you have a very large team that you work with it in a global nature. One of the things is, priorities among the teams. As a project manager, my priority is to move the timeline and move the project to, from one stage to another, and try to meet my timeline as set at the beginning of the project, at the kickoff. And sometimes dealing with other teams and to get these pieces moving, they have a different priority. They have different, their priority is not my priority, and they don't help as I needed to, because if you work with a commercial team, their priority is a commercial, and it's not the R&D. So if you work with regulatory, their priority is getting responses on time, and they are not really key about filing, and so every team has their own goals, their own priority, and is not aligned all towards your project. And that's when the communication sometimes missed, in communicating the message, or communicating, that we need to do this at this time, between different teams.
Yeah. So, yeah, Varda, would you like to add something on the topic of key reasons for having delays in projects? It could be multiple, but we discussed so far lack of communication, lack of prioritization, different understanding to different people with respect to timelines, etc. I think she's not able to hear us. Okay, let's continue the discussion in the meanwhile. So now we have this topic of delays, and in your perspective, what can companies do better to manage, especially the complex projects where there are so many stakeholders, with each one having a major impact on the timelines of a project? So maybe we start with Daniela this time.
Yeah, I think Rachna already pointed this out very nicely, right? So the issue is communication and alignment. And here, not only communication and alignment within one project, but also as a portfolio manager within the whole company organization with management. So it needs to be clear which project is prioritized, which one is not, and therefore the communication needs to be aligned throughout the whole line, from bottom to top.
Yeah.
So I think that is one of the key topics.
So any more comments from you, Rachna, on that?
Yes, Samir. So I think one thing which we hugely underestimate and underutilize is the closure part of all the projects. I think in many systems we don't even do it properly. Once we are done with whatever delays and all, and everybody has agreed, or everybody is taken through the appraisal systems accordingly, people forget about it. I think if the project closure kind of thing is done properly, we can have a huge, very useful repository of learnings. And these learnings, the good part is pharmaceutical projects, of course, it is very uncertain, if you compare it with other kind of projects and all, there are many uncertainties. You have to play as per the regulatory rules and regulations. There's a framework within which you have to compete. But the good part is it is a science. And this science, you can, this is what you can use. If you have repository of learnings of all the projects happening in your company, what you can do is you can look at it with respect to where it went wrong, what went wrong, and then bring it down to a level whether there was any issue with respect to, let's say, process as in it can be communication process, of course, whether it was a process, the way API sourcing is done, the way, for example, API development is integrated with formulation development, or whether it is a capability issue. As you rightly said, now everybody is moving from generics to super generics, complex generics. So it is now becoming more and more complex, and competition is becoming very difficult. So it is very important to have the right capability. If you have an injectable project, if you have a liposomal kind of project, you have some oral solid oncology, whether you have right capabilities in place, you have those kind of resources which you really need. Are they dedicated? Are they 50% dedicated? Accordingly, you should map the timelines. How much time are you going to get? Or if there's an objective given to you that it should be finished within 24 months or something, you should ask for the right resources and right time. You should ask for the right kind of structure also, that we need a very dedicated team, high performing team only on this project. Whether it is the capacity issue, maybe the project you have taken up, there is no right now there is no manufacturing line for it. It's a very new project. You don't have that kind of capacity built up in your system. Then once you are ready, you have to take trials or something. If, for example, it's some solution kind of thing, you don't have those kind of lines. You'll have to go outside, go to some CMOs. Those timelines you have to add. Many times people say, this is a pharmaceutical project. There are many external factors, regulatory policies, government related, business models may change and all those things. But I think everything can be managed internally. And basically, the delay is respect to what? Delay is with respect to your competitor. If somebody else can do it better, it means it can be managed internally. If somebody else cannot do better, they also can't resolve. I think it's an external factor, and then it is not a delay. You are at par with your competition. It's fine. So you have to see, if somebody else is able to do it, you have to bring in that capability, that process systems in place. And I think that's why project management is very, very important. I have seen big organizations who work on very complex projects, many projects. They have this project management system limited to, let's say, R&D. When it goes to supply chain, when it goes to plant where you have to take the scale up and later on batches for submission, when it goes to clinical, they don't have any project management system, and there the whole system fails because the project is end to end what you have committed. And project manager, many times, because he belongs to one kind of unit, he doesn't have visibility, or he doesn't have that kind of I would say alignment, or because it is in his scorecard, it is in his KPIs, KPIs, but it is not in the people who are going to support him. So maybe there is something wrong with the appraisal system. So these things I think are very, very important to learn from the various projects where the delays happen, to convert it into the framework, so that in the project charter which you prepare in the starting of the project, you convert it into there, take care there. And then external factors, I don't think is a problem. Learn from your competition. Very closely work with portfolio people, because they have a view of what is happening in business. They can keep you apprised about the things competition is doing. So it is very important, and there's a lot of learning portfolio and project management can take from each other. So these kind of learning should not get lost. And I think this is the reason we have less success and more delays in most of the R&D projects.
No, very well said. So maybe I will switch the topic slightly, and I come to Yasser again. And we all know that different cultures behave in different way. Some cultures plan a lot in advance and take very little time in execution because they have planned so much in advance. And there are some diagonally opposite cultures which would do little planning but take longer in execution. So my question to Yasser is that, is it also related to the corporate culture or the culture or the background of the members of the team, which also plays a major role in such kind of situations?
Yes, and I can, from my previous experience, is the team culture within one site. It's really mean a lot. I mean, sometimes it's even the team itself being held back by processes within the company. So if you have R&D site that is all working as a team, try to push the timeline, and you sometimes you have to you have to cope with the process. So it's again, small pharma tend to do much better in putting effort in one project and move it forward very fast than big pharma. It's just because big pharma is being held by the processes. Procuring API, it has to go through a process of selecting the vendor and getting codes, and the selection process takes some time, and then approval process and PO, it will take a cycle of approvals. While small pharma, they have, their culture is you can make a decision in one day, they can move forward. Sometimes this is small company, or a small group, when it gets sucked into a big pharma, which, through the merger or, they get held back by the big pharma processes. And I think they try to, it's a kind of competition. Who gonna win? It's who is gonna ease up the process to benefit the project, or the team has to over time suck into the process and be part of it. And it just I've been seeing this, in a lot. So yes, culture do make a difference in the team, but processes can help that team effort sometime.
Wow, well said. I am very happy that I asked you this question, because you put it in the right perspective. So, and now I come to you, Daniela. Yasser had also earlier very rightly mentioned that the type of company or the type of product is also perhaps very important. When we look at what is the delay and not a delay, it means different to different people. And you're with Celonic, and Celonic is CDMO, as I mentioned in the introduction, for biosimilars and biologicals, cell therapy, gene therapy products, etc. That's a totally different ballgame. And I think you have much different challenges to manage timelines. So for example, I'm just thinking aloud, if I am doing a simple vanilla generic where the API is not expensive, and if I have to adjust something, I can rather quickly adjust it. But what kind of challenges we usually face, and what's your perspective with respect to delays and how to address in complex products like you are doing?
So I would say the major difference between the company I work for, Celonic, as a CDMO, with regards to a bigger corporation like Teva or Wockhardt, who have their own products, is usually we work for our clients, right? So the timelines which we need to follow are the timelines which we were agreed on right at the beginning with the client. So for very sure, it is us who promised those timelines to the client when we signed the project, but then our client also requests us to stick to those timelines. And it doesn't matter how complex the project is, the client would like to stick to those. And if we have delays there, the only way to overcome this is be very close to the client, be transparent, make him understand why there are issues. So that's also one part of us being a CDMO, and for us claiming ourselves to be a premium CDMO, to be transparent, to be a partner for the client, not only a service provider. That is one of the key things. But here I would also like to refer to what Rachna said in the beginning. So to dwell on those learnings of previous projects, I think that is also one of the key issues to success when we sell our projects to clients. So what we currently do is really spend quite a lot of time in planning, in preparing those projects, those proposals and project plans, and apply all those learnings in order to understand potential pitfalls right from the beginning, in order to already see what could be possible issues for delays, possible issues for failure, to lay those out right in the beginning and already have scenarios available to choose from when going into the project. So here, I think the biggest difference is our stakeholder is mainly the client, not our management.
Okay. So, well, this was very interesting, and all three of you gave a lot of interesting perspectives. I think all the participants benefited tremendously from your wisdom. I have the unpleasant duty to close this conversation because we quickly finished 30 minutes and couldn't even take questions from the audience. So I would just like to quickly summarize that what you mentioned, that it is very important to prioritize, very important to have advanced planning, an aligned approach, the right strategy, and then also communication is key. And as far as possible, ensure that everybody has the same understanding of timelines. And so with that, I would like to thank all three of you for your tremendous insights into this complex topic in a very simple way. So thank you very much again. And we will move to the next session. So I'll request you to disconnect so that the next set of speaker or the next speaker can join in. Thanks again. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks a lot. Thanks
Thanks a
everyone.
lot, Samir.
Thank you.